Relapsing on alcohol is probably the worst thing that can happen to you if you've made a solid commitment to stop drinking for life. And I relapsed many times when I was younger, and I was a bit on and off really. Did 2 years here, 3 years here, 3 months here, and then 2006 I decided this is it, I'm going to stop. I made a firm decision. I moved house, concentrated on my daughter and myself, and I became fit, healthy again, did a lot of travelling, going to the gym a couple of times a day even. Had a great life. And I did that for 8 years. Long time, isn't it? Drink free, 8 years, everything was fine. And it came to a point where I was frightened to drink again, to be fair. And I met someone, and because there still is a stigma to not drinking, I decided I wouldn't tell this person that I didn't have a drink problem. I said, I just don't drink because I want to keep fit. I don't mind driving, all this sort of thing. And obviously, if you're in a relationship, it comes to a point where maybe there's a time you don't have to drive and there's an opportunity to drink. So I got a bit pestered by her and that sort of thing. Oh, well, I have one. I thought I must be all right after 8 years. I'm back in control of it, you know. So I had one drink. I was frightened to drink it. We had a few sips of the glass, and it was a very weak lager, actually. I did that, and then I think she thought, well, maybe he isn't an alcoholic, so I had a little drink. Over a period of weeks, I had a little bit more. I'm not on about lots of drink, maybe once every 2 or 3 days, I had a couple of cans of beer, only like weak strength stuff. And then went around Europe for a while, and I started drinking a little bit more. I thought, well, I've got control of this now. But after about 2 to 3 months of this, which isn't long after 8 months off, is it? I started to feel a bit groggy in the morning. And I was sort of back to square one, really, and I started to go down to the camp shop, have a bottle of beer in the morning, and I was picking up the bread and milk and that sort of thing. And have all day on the beach, maybe have another couple of cans, sneak off, have a pint somewhere. And within 6 months, I was back to square one. That was 2014. So 2006 to 2014, completely abstaining from alcohol. I had a great life. Why did I break that cycle? However, we can't turn the clock back. I'm just giving you a bit of a warning here. You think you can control it, but you can't. It's impossible. Alcohol's a drug. It'll get you to take one. When you've had one, you want two. When you had two, you want three. And if you're like me, you can't moderate it, then you cannot have any at all. So moving on from there, I went back to the doctors. Couldn't get any medication. I had diazepam in the past to control it and try and get me off. And I've been successful getting off. As I said, for 8 years, they wouldn't give me any more. Ended up drinking to self-medicate, really. Got worse and worse, lost a lot of weight. My life became chaotic again. I had numerous issues physically, didn't feel well, the usual nausea, sickness, not eating properly, lost a lot of weight, wasn't looking after myself, wasn't looking after my flat. Financially, things were getting a bit tight because all I did was drink. My car was running away on the drive. I didn't see my didn't see my daughter very much, or my parents, so I was just basically trapped by the rut of being in the alcohol scene again, I suppose. Met a few people who were just drinking buddies, and that's where I got trapped in it again. Now, if you want to stop drinking, you've got to have a real want for it. And at that time I didn't. I just thought, well, I can't stop. I'm just in this cycle. I don't know what's going to happen to me. So as things got worse, in 2019 I was blue lighted to hospital and had ascites fluid and spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. I've talked about this in a few other videos. It's worth watching because some horrific incidents happened to me in hospital. Had a few procedures done, had an umbilical hernia which bled, and then nearly bled to death. I was in intensive care with low sodium levels, and it just went on from there. Ended up in a wheelchair, I couldn't walk very well. I was getting patient transport every 3 weeks to take me to hospital to get this fluid drained off. They put a long needle into your abdomen and drain off the fluid. Horrific. At one point I was told I had 50-50 chance of living, and all this was happening during the COVID pandemic, where obviously it was difficult to get ambulances. The doctors were at full stretch. Hospitals were packed, as you can imagine. Lots of other people at that time were also coming in with alcohol-related problems, not long-term alcohol problems, but things which, like, it was hepatitis B or something, where they just had a binge for months on the alcohol. So they were taking up a lot of bed space as well. It was just a terrible, terrible time. Anyway, moving on from there, I got a little bit stronger, and I managed to get myself moving a bit. Got myself out, do a little bit of walking, do a bit of exercise, got my nutrition well, sorted, and I have a balanced diet now, so everything's fine now. But it's been a hard fight, and I nearly lost my life. So when you're in a position like me, you'll often feel tempted, but you can't control it, because as I say, it's a drug, and it will creep up on you. That's the thing. You can be off for years and years, and you just have one incident. The doctor I saw many years ago told me that she had a friend who was also a GP. She'd been alcohol-free for 25 years. Went to a New Year's Eve party, had a couple of glasses of champagne, and she was dead 6 months later. So relapse is the worst thing that's going to happen to you. You think you've got control, you think your organs are all new and fresh, but they're not, because it will get a grip of you. And it's worse every time you stop and start, because there will be some damage there. And all you're going to do is make it much, much worse. Because we can't moderate it, people like me and others on these channels. We cannot moderate the alcohol. That's why we're here to help you. And you've got to learn to think, well, there isn't any benefit to alcohol. And when you learn, and when you realise that all it's going to do is harm in the long term, then you'll crack it. But if you carry on thinking, well, I wish I could go to the pub and join the lads, or join the girls, or go here, then everyone have a drink because they're having a much better time, that's when you'll go back on it. You've got to see and think about the negative sides of what it has done to you, what it can do to you, and the fact that if you do become dependent, then it will kill you early, and it will shave off 20 to 25 years from your life. You'll die much younger than the general population who might have a social drink or teetotal. There's a lot to think about there. But if you can get to the point where you're not seeing alcohol as a positive, that is the main turning point. I see no benefit in people drinking alcohol or me drinking alcohol. I did when I was younger. It gave me a buzz, all the usual stuff. Got me through a few social situations. But I wish I'd never started, to be fair. But that's not something I've got control of. It's just a warning here for you. Relapse is dangerous. Be aware of it. And you'll feel the urge to have a drink. Just you've got to think, well, no, if I have that drink, I'm going to be back to square one again in a few weeks, a few months, a few years or whatever. And it's always, always, always going to do you harm. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. And if you've got any comments, then drop me a line. I'll speak to you all soon.